The battlefield floated above a dying red star, its light weak and trembling across the black ocean of space. Dozens of alien warships from the Varkon Empire drifted through the ruins of shattered colonies, their metallic hulls glowing with victory lights. They had been fighting for months and believed the war was finally over. Their enemies, the humans, were silent now, their last transmissions gone, their fleets destroyed or scattered. On the bridge of the Varkon flagship Emperor's Claw, Grand Commander Varel leaned back in his command chair, his 4 eyes glowing faintly blue. He smiled, showing sharp silver teeth, and said to his crew, "At last, the Deathworlders are finished." Their resistance was strong but foolish. They did not understand who rules the stars. The bridge erupted with laughter, a sound that echoed like metal scraping against metal. The crew began celebrating, playing victory anthems, and sending messages across the fleet, announcing the end of the human war outside. The silence of space was filled only by the drifting wreckage of human ships. Broken hulls, shattered engines, and frozen bodies floated quietly between the stars. Every alien soldier believed it was done. Earth had fallen, humanity defeated. But far away, beyond the edge of their sensors, something old was moving. A faint signal pulsed through the static, weak but persistent at first. No one paid attention on the Emperor's Claw. A young sensor officer named Terran frowned as the readings flickered on her display. "Commander, there's a disturbance in Sector 7, she said softly. "Could be debris, but the energy pattern. It's strange." Varel waved his hand dismissively. "Ignore it, Lieutenant. Just the dying spark of their machines," Terran hesitated. "It's repeating, sir. Same rhythm every 6 seconds, almost like a heartbeat." The room went quiet for a moment. Then the laughter returned. "Humans are dead." "Girl," one of the officers sneered. "No ghosts in space." Yet deep inside, Terran felt uneasy. She zoomed in on the signal pattern, trying to isolate it. The data flickered, then steadied. It wasn't a random pulse. It was a transmission, encrypted and ancient. She whispered to herself, "What are you?" Meanwhile, in the outer ring of the combat zone, smaller Varkon patrol ships reported strange distortions, gravity waves that didn't match any known signature. Engineers argued it was the collapsing stars field, but others felt it was something else. In the wreckage of human ships, a current of static energy was growing. Something was charging, something large. Back on the flagship, Commander Varel continued his speech, boasting to his soldiers, "Today marks the end of Earth's arrogance." They called themselves survivors, yet they could not even protect their colonies. They will be remembered as dust. But his words were soon interrupted by another alarm. The same signal, now louder, stronger, echoing across multiple frequencies. Terran stood, eyes wide. "Sir, it's not just one source anymore. It's spreading," Varel frowned. "Explain." "It's like the signal is awakening other dormant systems one by one," she said. The commander leaned forward, his amusement fading. "Show me." A holographic map appeared before them, showing the star system. Small red lights blinked where human wrecks had been floating. Now those lights turned blue, 1, 2, 10, 20, until the entire debris field shimmered like fireflies. The energy readings spiked. "Impossible," Varel muttered. "They had no ships left operational." Terrell's voice trembled. "Sir, these aren't random signals, they're forming coordinates, aligning toward one point, and where?" "Sector 9, deep shadow orbit, just beyond the star's gravity ridge." Every officer turned toward the view screen. The camera drones shifted their focus to the dark edge of the battlefield. There, in the endless black, something stirred. A silhouette began to form, massive and slow. The light from the dying star brushed across its surface, revealing markings that no alien dared to see again. Human markings. Varel's voice dropped to a whisper. "That cannot be." But Terran had already recognized it, her voice trembling. "It's a warship, sir, human design, ancient model." Varel shook his head. "All human warships were destroyed or scrapped centuries ago." "Then explain this," Terran replied. As the scanners started screaming with overload warnings, power surges rippled through the alien ships, communications flickered, engines stuttered. The mysterious object was absorbing energy from the dying star itself, feeding on it. A deep vibration rolled through the fleet, so low that every soldier felt it in their bones. Then, a voice, faint but clear, cut through every comm channel. It wasn't in the alien tongue, but in English. "This is Admiral Reyes of the United Terran Navy. To all hostile fleets in orbit, You are trespassing on a human defense zone. Disengage or be neutralized. For a moment, every alien on the bridge froze. It was like hearing a ghost speak from the grave. Virel roared, "Jamming systems! Destroy that transmission!" But it was too late. The dark shape fully emerged from the shadows, a colossal warship, scarred by centuries, glowing faintly with blue plasma veins on its side. One word burned through the darkness: Titanus. Every alien sensor overloaded, every weapon failed to lock, and for the first time in the war, silence returned. Not the silence of victory, but of fear. Terrell whispered, "They're back." Virel's claws gripped the armrest. His voice hollow, "Prepare the fleet." Outside, the human warship slowly turned toward the enemy. The red star's dying light glinted across its hull, like the eye of something ancient awakening from sleep. And across the galaxy, one truth began to spread once more. The humans were not gone, they were coming. The blue oceans of Earth were calm that night. The stars reflected like 1,000 forgotten memories across the dark water, far beneath the Pacific waves. Deep under layers of titanium and ice, a sleeping giant waited. The facility was known only to a few. Project Titanus, humanity's last hidden fortress. For centuries it remained sealed, powered down, silent, while the galaxy forgot Earth's true strength. Inside the control room, alarms suddenly blinked red. Filling the chamber with a steady hum, technicians rushed to their stations as ancient consoles came alive. Lines of code began to flow across the main screen. Classified signals. Commander Elise Ward, head of Deep Defense, entered the room, her face pale. "Why is Titanus online?" she demanded, her voice echoing through the metallic hall. A young officer pointed to the monitor. "Ma'am?" An old beacon just reactivated from the Rithar sector. "The signal is Terran code from the First War." Elise froze. "That's impossible. Nothing human survived there." He nodded nervously. "And yet the code matches Admiral Reyes's old signature." The name hung in the air like thunder. Admiral Reyes, the legend, the ghost of the First Interstellar War. He was the man who led Earth's fleet when humanity stood against 100 alien empires, and disappeared when the Titanus was lost. For years, stories said, he went down fighting, guarding the colonies from the Varkon, but now, the impossible was real. His signal had returned. High above the ocean, defense satellites aligned. Connecting to the buried facility, massive gates began to open in the ocean floor. Water roaring as the surface split apart. Inside, lights burst to life along a corridor that stretched for kilometers, leading to a single chamber. There it stood, the Titanus, submerged for centuries, its hull glowing faintly under the floodlights. It was more than a warship. It was a relic of human fury, forged during the darkest age of the galaxy. Elise watched the systems come online one by one. "Engine cores active," the technician reported. "Neural AI waking," another said. Then a deep metallic voice filled the room. "Designation confirmed, United Terran Warship Titanus. Command authority requested." Elise stepped forward and placed her hand on the command console. "Authorization Ward Alpha 7, awaken the fleet." The ship's AI paused, processing the command. Then it spoke again. "Welcome back, Commander. Target beacon detected." Admiral Reyes requesting synchronization. The water around the Titanus began to boil. Tremors shook the seabed as the massive vessel rose from its cradle. Above the waves, the surface exploded outward, and the ocean parted like it feared what was coming. The ship broke through, its colossal silhouette rising into the night sky. People across the Pacific Rim looked up in awe as clouds scattered and lightning danced around the warship's hull. A voice whispered from one of the control towers. "The beast has returned." In orbit, the Earth Defense Council gathered in shock. Old generals and diplomats stared at the feed of the rising ship. "Are we sure this is wise?" one senator asked. Elise replied coldly. "We didn't wake it, sir. The galaxy did." Silence followed her words, broken only by the rumble of the Titanus as it began its ascent into space. Meanwhile, on the ship itself, ancient systems hummed to life, armored panels shifted, releasing long-dormant drone swarms for recalibration. Inside the command deck, Admiral Reyes stood before the primary viewport. Time had not aged him. His face strong, eyes sharp, his voice calm. He had survived cryostasis all these centuries, waiting for Earth's call. "Report status," he said. The AI responded. "All systems functional. Weapons charged at 40%. Warp drives online. Coordinates locked to Rithar sector." Reyes nodded. "Then we are late." Let's remind them who we are. As Titanus reached orbit, satellites broadcast its image across every human colony. For the first time in generations, humanity saw their true warship again. News feeds filled with one message: Earth's Guardian returns. Miners stopped their drills. Soldiers stood at attention and children pressed their faces to glass windows. All across the network, whispers spread like wildfire. They thought we were finished. They thought wrong. In the command chamber, Elise saluted the Admiral through a holographic link. Sir, the Council has authorized full engagement protocol. The Varkon Empire is advancing again. Reyes gave a faint smile. History repeats, only this time we finish it. The Titanus adjusted its angle, its engines glowing brighter than dawn. Then, with a thunderous burst of energy, the warship vanished into hyperspace, leaving only a shockwave over Earth's skies down below in the ocean silence. The wave slowly calmed again, but deep inside, every human heart burned with the same feeling: pride and vengeance. The message was clear. Humanity was done hiding, and somewhere in the void between stars, Admiral Reyes looked at the distant light of the red star where the Varkon fleet waited. He whispered, "You thought the battle was yours, but it was only the beginning." As the ship tore through the hyperspace corridor, its hull shimmered with the symbol of Earth, bright, unbroken and fearless. Behind him, the galaxy braced for what was coming, for the Titan had awakened and war was about to begin again. The darkness of hyperspace was endless, but even the void trembled when the Titanus moved through it. Its massive frame cut across the cosmic currents like a silent blade, leaving trails of plasma rippling in its wake. Inside the ship, the air hummed with energy, as though the vessel itself was alive and impatient. Admiral Reyes stood before the main viewport, watching the streaks of distorted stars slide past, his expression calm yet heavy with purpose. "ETA to Rythar sector." 30 seconds, reported the ship's AI. Its voice calm and deep. Reyes nodded slowly. "Prepare stealth barrier, we arrive unseen." The AI complied instantly, and a wave of refracted light passed over the Titanus. Bending it out of visible and sensor range, the warship vanished into the shadows between space and time. Hidden even from the most advanced alien scanners far ahead, the Varkon fleet hovered like a metallic storm, covering half the system. Thousands of ships formed a blockade around the dying red star, their energy shields glowing faintly crimson. On the flagship Emperor's Claw, Grand Commander Varel stood once more before his crew. His arrogance returned. "The human signal was a trick," he barked. "We've scanned the sector, nothing but debris, Terrell." The young sensor officer hesitated. "Sir, I still detect gravitational distortion near the outer orbit." "False readings," Varel snapped. "The star's collapse is interfering. Ignore it." But even as he spoke, the lights on the bridge flickered. Outside, the red star pulsed violently, as if something massive was feeding off its last breath. Space itself seemed to bend and twist. Then the distortion grew until it split open like a wound. From within that rip of light, the Titanus emerged, cloaked in burning plasma and the silence of ancient vengeance. Every alien ship nearby froze, scanners failing, engines faltering. A shadow of impossible scale loomed before them. One of the Varkon captains whispered, "By the stars." "What is that?" The Titanus slowly drifted forward, its hull glowing with the insignia of Earth. Admiral Reyes's voice echoed through the command deck. "Deactivate stealth." The ship shimmered back into view, massive and terrifying. Alarms screamed across every alien vessel as their sensors overloaded. Unknown object detected, power surge detected, unidentified energy signature, danger level, catastrophic. Within seconds, the entire Varkon fleet realized it was not a ghost. It was death approaching. Virel's face twisted in disbelief. "That's impossible. Humanity cannot build such ships." Terrell turned to him, her voice shaking. "Sir, that's no new ship, it's Titanus. From the first Galactic War." Every officer froze, the name echoing through the bridge like a curse. Virel snarled, "Fire all weapons! I want that relic destroyed." But when the Varkon fleet opened fire, the universe itself seemed to reject their attack. Beams of plasma and ion shells raced toward the Titanus, yet before they struck, the warship's shield ignited. A shimmering sphere of light so bright it blinded every sensor. The energy hit the shield, then vanished like sparks in the rain. "Impossible!" cried a Varkon engineer. "Our cannons have no effect." Admiral Reyes watched calmly. "Return fire," he said. His voice low and cold, the AI acknowledged. Primary railguns online, firing sequence ready. 6 enormous barrels extended from the ship's flanks. Rotating with mechanical precision, then came the sound. A deep hum that vibrated through space itself. When the first shot fired, it was like lightning tearing through a storm. A single slug of condensed tungsten pierced 3 alien destroyers in one line, exploding them into molten fragments. The second shot followed, then a third. And in less than a minute, dozens of ships were gone, vaporized into drifting debris. The Varkon formations broke apart in panic. Commanders shouting over comms, evasive maneuvers. Regroup. Flank it. But the Titanus was already moving. It turned gracefully, its thrusters flaring blue, and unleashed a storm of drones. Thousands of autonomous fighters born from hidden compartments. They swarmed like angry sparks, slicing through alien cruisers with surgical precision. Each drone carried an AI combat core more intelligent than a Varkon officer. They communicated silently, perfectly, like extensions of the warship's will, inside the bridge. Admiral Reyes's crew operated like ghosts. No panic, no hesitation, just calm focus. Enemy forces at 40% strength, the AI reported. Reyes exhaled slowly. They still don't understand what they're facing. He turned to the tactical officer. Project Earth's flag across comm frequencies. The screen flickered, and then every alien ship received the same broadcast. The image of the Earth emblem burned across their displays, the old Terran insignia shining white and blue. A voice followed, steady and cold. This is Admiral Reyes of Earth. You started this war. Now you will finish it with your surrender or extinction. On the Emperor's claw. Silence filled the bridge. Virel's hands trembled. His arrogance crumbling, he turned toward Terrell. Send a distress call to all sectors. Tell them the humans have returned. Terrell nodded shakily. And if they don't believe us, sir? Virel looked at the colossal shadow moving closer through the wreckage. They will when they see the fire, he whispered. Outside, the Titanus advanced without mercy, its railguns glowing brighter. Alien ships scattered like frightened insects before a storm. In that moment, every civilization watching the battle knew something had changed forever. The humans had not evolved, they had endured. And their return was not salvation, but reckoning. As the wreckage burned and the red star dimmed further, Admiral Reyes watched in silence. His ship hovered like a monument to vengeance, surrounded by drifting fragments of the enemy. He spoke quietly, not to his crew, but to the universe itself. They thought the battle was theirs, he said. But they forgot who taught war to the stars. The battlefield was fire and silence. Millions of tons of debris drifted through the void like dying embers. The Varkon fleet was shattered, yet their reinforcements still poured from hyperspace gates. Dozens of new ships entered the system, forming massive lines that stretched across the horizon. Their commanders screamed orders, desperate to regroup, desperate to erase the single ship that had humiliated an empire. From the bridge of the Titanus, Admiral Reyes watched the sensor screen flicker with new enemy signatures. 238 warships inbound, reported the AI. All charging weapons. Reyes gave a slow nod, his voice calm. Good. Let them come. The AI hesitated for a fraction of a second. Recommend defensive action? Reyes's eyes hardened. No. Activate Wrath Protocol. The ship trembled, its hull expanding with energy. Massive compartments opened along its sides, revealing hidden cannons the size of skyscrapers. Blue plasma began to swirl through conduits that pulsed like veins. Every system on the Titanus came alive at once. It was no longer just a ship, it was a storm. The Varkon fleet fired first, unleashing a rain of plasma bolts and ion missiles. The sky turned into fire, streaks of light crossing every direction. But before a single shot could hit, the Titanus shifted. Its shield systems glowed with spectral light, absorbing the entire bombardment like mist hitting an ocean. The energy bent around the warship and vanished into silence. Inside the alien flagship, Virel shouted, "Increase output! Full power!" But their weapons were useless, their strongest attacks vanished into the void. "Sir, the target is unaffected," cried an officer. "Its energy readings are beyond measurable range." Virel slammed his claw against the console. "Then measure it anyway." But the data refused to make sense. The Titanus was drawing power from the dying red star itself, feeding off its radiation, turning it into fuel. Admiral Reyes stood tall, the light of the screens reflecting off his face. "Target the fleet center," he commanded. The AI responded instantly. "Main cannon ready. Firing solution locked. Then came the voice of the ship itself, a low hum that built until it became a thunderous roar. The main cannon, a weapon not fired in centuries, began to charge. Space warped around its muzzle, forming a sphere of pure energy that distorted light. The alien stared in horror as the star itself seemed to dim. Then, with a single word, fire, Reyes gave the order. The beam erupted. A column of blue-white energy ripped through the darkness, slicing across kilometers in seconds everything it touched. Ships, debris, even light was vaporized instantly. A dozen Varkon warships vanished in silence, reduced to glowing dust. Shockwaves rippled through the system. Even distant moons trembled as the explosion echoed across the void. Casualties. Total, whispered a Varkon officer, his voice breaking. The bridge of the Emperor's Claw filled with static. The smell of burning circuits thick in the air. Commander Varel stared blankly at the collapsing fleet, his arrogance gone, his pride turning to terror. On the Titanus, the AI reported calmly. First wave neutralized, second fleet incoming. Coordinates locked. Reyes's tone remained cold. Deploy the Harbinger drones. The ship's underbelly opened like a beast's jaw, releasing swarms of metallic orbs that streaked across space. Each orb split into 10 smaller units, forming a glittering net of destruction. When they reached the enemy lines, they detonated not with fire, but with electromagnetic silence. Engines died, power failed. Ships drifted helplessly into the path of oncoming debris. It was as if the universe itself had turned against them. On the alien bridge, panic broke. Shields down. We've lost thrusters. Multiple detonations. Our weapons are dead. Varel's breathing turned heavy, rage and fear mixing in his voice. How can they do this? They were primitive. They were extinct. Terrell, still working her station, whispered, No, sir. They were patient. In orbit, one last Varkon dreadnought turned to flee, its engines roaring at full power. But the Titanus saw it, Reyes ordered quietly. No survivors. The warships targeting reticles locked. Secondary batteries fire. Hundreds of smaller cannons lit up along the hull, unleashing a synchronized barrage that turned the fleeing ship into a bright expanding sphere. It was over before the explosion faded. Silence filled the bridge once more. The battle was done, but the Admiral did not smile. His crew watched as the dying red star flickered weakly behind the drifting wreckage. It looked like the light of a candle struggling to survive against the wind. Reyes turned toward the viewport and said softly, End the broadcast delay, the AI acknowledged. Transmission now lived to all galactic channels. Across the galaxy, every screen, every broadcast, every alien world witnessed the same image. The Earth warship standing alone among the wreckage of an empire. Reyes's voice filled the void, calm and heavy. To all empires that watch this, let this be your memory. Humanity does not start wars, but we end them. Then, with the same quiet authority, he ordered, Deactivate Wrath Protocol. The massive cannons folded back. The drones returned to their bays. The Titanus drifted silently, surrounded by fire and dust. Reyes closed his eyes for a moment, his thoughts far away. Prepare a channel to Earth, he said. It was time for the galaxy to know. The humans had returned. Not as survivors, but as rulers of war. The wreckage of the battle drifted in silence. A graveyard of glowing metal and broken pride. Yet even as the fires faded, space itself trembled again. Far beyond the ruins, hyperspace gates flared open one after another, each one spilling out new warships. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. The Varkon Empire had sent its entire armada, the greatest gathering of alien power in centuries, on the bridge of the Titanus. The lights dimmed as sensors filled the holographic map. Red icons spread like blood across the system, encircling the single blue mark at the center. Earth's warship. Enemy count increasing, said the AI calmly. Fleet size estimated at 3,412. Reyes stared at the map without emotion. They brought everything they have. Commander Elise Ward's voice came through the holographic feed from Earth. Sir, if they surround you, retreat. There's no shame in survival. Reyes gave a faint, cold smile. Humanity's survival depends on the lesson we teach them today. Outside, the alien armada closed formation, their warships linking energy shields into one massive field. Each vessel bristled with weaponry, enough firepower to vaporize planets. The Varkon flagship Eternal Dominion took command, broadcasting across the battlefield. This is Supreme Marshal Kavreth, The alien's voice thundered through the void. Human relic, surrender your ship or be erased from existence. For a moment, the galaxy held its breath, waiting for the human reply. Admiral Reyes looked at his crew and said simply, "Activate the Black Veil Protocol." The bridge lights went dark, the ship's engines flickered, and for a brief instant Titanus seemed to vanish. Every alien sensor lost it, gone, erased from their readings. The Varkon commander screamed orders, "Find it! Track it!" But there was nothing to track. The Titanus had disappeared from both space and time. Even light could no longer find it in the void. The warship moved like a shadow through the cracks of reality. Its stealth systems weren't invisibility, they were manipulation. Bending gravity, bending thought inside the alien fleet. Panic grew as their ships began exploding one by one without warning. A cruiser at the front line vanished in a blinding flash. Another broke apart silently. "Where are the shots coming from?" yelled an officer, but there were no shots. No warnings. Only death. The Titanus appeared for less than a second, fired, then vanished again. Its railguns sliced through the Varkon lines like blades through mist. Drones slipped through the chaos, planting electromagnetic mines that detonated deep inside enemy reactors. Within minutes, the perfect formation of the alien armada became a storm of confusion. Ships collided, captains screamed, their communications drowned in static and fear. On the Eternal Dominion, Marshal Kavreth roared, "Deploy gravity snares. Lock that ship in place." Massive energy nets expanded across the battlefield, glowing red as they distorted space itself for a moment. The Titanus flickered within one of the snares. Half visible, the alien cannons turned and opened fire. The stars themselves vanished behind the storm of plasma. But when the smoke cleared, there was nothing left inside the net, only fragments of the snare itself, sliced apart from the inside. The humans had turned the trap into a weapon. Through the distortion, the Titanus reappeared behind the alien command fleet, its cannons glowing brighter than before. Reyes's voice was calm, almost quiet. "Target their command ship," the AI confirmed. Lock established. Then came a single beam of pure white light, silent, absolute. It tore through the Eternal Dominion from bow to stern, splitting the warship clean in two. The explosion lit the system brighter than the dying red star. When the light faded, all that remained was silence and drifting metal. Half the armada was gone, the rest in chaos across the galaxy. Empires watched the broadcast, seeing what one human ship had done to thousands. On their worlds, children whispered the name Titanus, and their elders trembled. It was no longer just a ship, it was a legend reborn. Inside the bridge, the AI reported, "Enemy command destroyed. Reinforcements withdrawing." Reyes didn't smile. "They'll retreat to regroup. But they've already lost." Commander Elise's voice came through again, softer now. "Admiral, you did it," he shook his head. "No, Commander. We reminded them. Reminded them of what? That humans don't conquer for glory, they fight for home." As the debris field drifted around them, the Titanus deactivated the Black Veil system, its hull shimmering back into view. The light of the dying star reflected against its armor. Painting it in red and gold, Admiral Reyes turned to his crew. "Send a message to all channels," the AI asked. "What message, Admiral?" Reyes said, "Tell the galaxy the humans are awake again." The broadcast spread through every system faster than light. On alien worlds, rulers watched with disbelief. On human colonies, people wept and cheered in one night. Earth's forgotten warship had destroyed the most powerful fleet in existence. And across the void, those who once mocked humanity now whispered a single word with fear: retribution. The red star flickered once more. Collapsing into a dark void, the Titanus turned away, leaving behind only silence and ghosts. Its engines ignited softly, carrying it toward the next battle. Because the war wasn't over yet, it had only just begun. The battlefield was finally silent. The wreckage of thousands of ships floated around the Titanus, drifting slowly in the light of the dying red star. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy itself seemed to pause, holding its breath. Every transmission channel went quiet. Every sensor pointed toward one ship, the lone human warship that had shattered an empire. Inside the command deck, the atmosphere was calm but heavy. Crew members stood at their stations, faces lit by the blue glow of the control panels. Admiral Reyes stood in front of the main screen. Staring at the endless field of destruction, he said softly, They wanted to erase humanity from history. He turned to his crew. Now they will remember us for eternity. The ship's AI spoke, its voice steady and deep. Admiral, transmission arrays ready? Shall I prepare the broadcast? Reyes nodded. Yes, but not just to the Varkon network. Send it across all galactic frequencies, every empire, every colony, every world that doubted Earth. The AI paused. Message parameters? Reyes's tone was cold and precise. Truth. Lights dimmed, and a glowing sphere appeared in the center of the bridge, representing the galaxy. Thousands of blue lines extended from the Titanus, reaching every corner of space. Within seconds, the signal spread faster than light itself, overriding alien channels, cutting into their news streams, their military networks, their entertainment broadcasts. The entire galaxy saw the same thing. The screen filled with the image of the Titanus hovering silently among the ruins of the Varkon fleet. Behind it, the shattered hulls of the alien armada glowed faintly, like candles in the dark. Then, Admiral Reyes's face appeared, calm, strong, his uniform scorched but his eyes unbroken. This is Admiral Elias Reyes of the United Terran Navy, he began, his voice echoing across the stars. For centuries, you believed Earth was silent, weak, forgotten. You thought humanity's spirit had faded, that we had become a myth. His gaze hardened. You were wrong. Every world listening, every alien watching felt something ancient stir inside them. Reyes continued. You called us Deathworlders, savages from a planet too harsh for life. You were right. The words hit like thunder. He leaned forward. But you forgot what that means. It means we endure, it means we rise. It means we fight until the stars themselves go dark. Across the galaxy, alien leaders watched in silence. On the Varkon homeworld, the High Council sat frozen, seeing their fleets destroyed in real time. In the Nerith Republic, senators whispered prayers. Even the neutral traders stopped their ships, unwilling to interrupt the broadcast that now filled every screen in the galaxy. Reyes's tone softened slightly, though the strength in his voice never faded. Earth does not seek conquest, we do not crave war. But when you bring fire to our home, we answer with the storm. Behind him, the camera shifted, showing the full scale of the battlefield. Thousands of wrecks floated silently, each one a grave to the arrogance of those who had underestimated mankind. Let this be your warning, Reyes said. Never mistake our silence for surrender. Never mistake our mercy for weakness. He paused, his eyes narrowing, because when humanity rises, even the stars will burn to remember it. The broadcast ended with a symbol, Earth's blue flag, slowly waving against the black void underneath. Glowing white words appeared in every galactic language. We are still here. On alien worlds, panic spread like wildfire. Governments ordered fleets to high alert. Intelligence agencies searched for Earth's hidden technologies. Some civilizations began secret talks, seeking alliances with humanity. Others fled their sectors, afraid the humans might come next. The name Titanus became a warning, a legend and a prophecy. Meanwhile, on Earth, the message returned home. People across the planet watched as the feed lit up the skies. In cities and villages, crowds gathered, eyes filled with tears and pride. Children pointed at the stars, shouting the name of the ship, Titanus, Titanus. For the first time in 1,000 years, the world stood united again, back aboard the warship. Admiral Reyes walked to the viewing deck. The red star had dimmed almost completely, collapsing slowly into itself. He watched its final light fade and whispered, Rest now. You've seen enough war. The AI spoke softly. Admiral, message from Earth Command, confirmation received. Global morale restored. Reyes smiled faintly. Good. They'll need hope for what comes next. He turned to his officers. Set course for Sol Prime, we return home. The engines began to hum, building to a low, steady roar as the Titanus turned away from the battlefield. Its thrusters lit up the darkness with a halo of blue light. For a brief moment, it looked like a second sun rising in the void behind it. The remains of the Varkon fleet drifted silently, and across the galaxy, one truth had been written in fire. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Titanus moved through the quiet of space, its engines whispering like thunder from another age. The red star behind it finally collapsed into darkness, leaving only dust and echoes of war. What had once been a graveyard of human defeat was now a monument to their return. The galaxy had changed in one day, and the ripples of that moment would never fade. Inside the warship, the crew worked in calm silence. Many of them were young, born long after the old wars. Yet today they had witnessed the stories their grandparents spoke of in disbelief. The legends of humanity's fire, the wrath of Earth's warriors, the strength that could not die. Admiral Reyes stood at the viewing deck, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the endless stars ahead. "Status report," he said quietly. The AI responded, "System scans complete. Battlefield fully secured. Enemy transmission ceased." Reyes nodded. "And the message?" "Received by all major galactic powers," the AI said. "Some worlds have begun diplomatic broadcasts seeking peace. Others have gone silent," Reyes exhaled slowly. "Silence is good. It means they're thinking." He turned away from the viewport, the soft light of the ship reflecting across his weathered face. "Plot a course to Sol," he ordered. "It's time humanity saw what they've become," the helmsman confirmed. "Course locked, Admiral." As the engines flared, the warship began its long journey home, leaving the ruins of war behind like fading ghosts. On distant alien worlds, the broadcast still replayed again and again. Children of other species stared at the image of the Terran warship, their parents whispering warnings. "Never wake a Death Worlder," they said. Across the galaxy, leaders met in secret, debating what humanity's return meant for them. Some argued for alliances, others for containment, but deep down, all of them felt the same fear. The humans had survived extinction, and survival was their weapon. In the core systems of the Varkan Empire, chaos reigned. The High Council chambers burned under protest. Generals were executed, fleets recalled. Whispers filled the dark halls of power. They destroyed 3,000 ships with one vessel. The old legends were true. The humans have gods of metal. Panic spread faster than truth. Worlds once proud of conquest now begged for truce. Meanwhile, in the outer colonies of Earth, something else was happening for generations. The humans of the frontier had lived in fear, isolated, forgotten, hunted. Now every colony beacon burned bright again, each one broadcasting the same phrase, signal confirmed. Titanus lives. Miners dropped their tools. Soldiers saluted the stars for the first time in living memory. They knew Earth had not abandoned them on Earth itself. Night turned to day when the Titanus entered orbit. Every screen on the planet displayed its return, its shadow stretching across the Pacific. Millions gathered on rooftops and fields, cheering and crying. Children waved flags. Old veterans saluted through tears. The oceans roared beneath the ship's reflection as it hovered in silence above its birthplace. In the command tower, Commander Elise Ward watched the live feed. Her voice trembled slightly. "Welcome home. Titanus." Admiral Reyes appeared on the screen, his tone soft but proud. "Commander, Earth looks beautiful." "It waited for you," she replied. "We all did." The warship descended slowly into the atmosphere, its engines humming softly. Rain fell in streaks across its metal surface as it entered the clouds. When it finally hovered above the Pacific base it had once called home, it seemed as if the ocean itself bowed in greeting. Reyes looked out through the viewport, seeing the world he had left behind centuries ago. Forests had regrown, cities sparkled along the coasts, and the planet looked alive again. He whispered, "After all this time we came back later." Standing in the main hall of the restored Pacific Command, Reyes faced the gathered leaders of Earth and the colonies. Some were soldiers, others scientists, diplomats, even children of the new generation. All stood in silence as he stepped forward, the Earth's flag shining behind him. "I have seen the stars burn with war," he said slowly. "I have seen worlds rise and fall, but I have never seen anything stronger than the will of humanity." He looked at the younger officers. "You are the heirs of that will. Protect it. Never lose it." Applause filled the hall, quiet at first, then rising like thunder. Outside, in orbit, the Titanus drifted quietly, its hull reflecting the golden light of sunrise. It was no longer just a weapon, it had become a symbol, a promise that no matter how far the galaxy spread, Earth's fire would never fade, far away, beyond known space. In a dark council of distant empires, shadowy figures spoke in hushed tones. "They have awakened," one voice said. "The Death Worlders have returned," another replied. "Then the age of peace is over." "No," said the first voice softly. "The age of fear has begun, and somewhere deep in space, a single human warship continued its silent patrol. its lights blinking faintly against the stars, its systems alive but quiet inside its core. The AI recorded one final entry. Mission complete, humanity restored, galaxy recalibrating. Then, almost like a heartbeat, the ship pulsed once with light. It was a reminder to the universe that Earth was watching, always. As the sun rose over the Pacific and the waves glowed golden, Admiral Reyes stood alone on the observation deck. He whispered to himself. They thought the battle was theirs, he smiled faintly. But the galaxy belongs to the survivors, and with that, the dawn of a new era began. The age of humanity's silence had ended. Now came the age of their legend.